Yo, what's going on, guys? Today's video, I think, is probably gonna get a bit more serious because this is something that has been a part of my life for a while, a very long time now, and I don't know. I think this is something that I needed to talk about, but I've never really wanted to say it to other people because I mean it's kind of embarrassing. But I think if I'd probably be more willing to talk about it if I just talk about it between myself. I guess talking to myself, talking to the mic, and I guess to whoever watches the video. But this topic is I've abbreviated it as L.I.D. Now, what in the world is L.I.D? Like, what are you talking about? Well, it stands for loneliness, isolation, and disassociation. And I think we could all relate to either one, multiple, or all three. There's definitely been a time where you've probably felt at least one of these emotions, unknowingly or not, and they suck. I'm not gonna lie to you; they are terrible. It's, I don't know which one I'd say is the worst, but they are all awful. They get even more awful the more of them you feel at the exact same time. So yeah, I think we should I should finally get this off of my chest. Now, the first one, and I think is probably the most common one, is the L, the loneliness. Um, like, we've all been at that point at some time in our lives where, especially if you're older, obviously, we've probably felt this way, whether it was mandated by ourselves, by just circumstance. It's very bad. It's awful. It's not fun at all. And I think the story, I probably have like I guess you could say this is three stories, but it's probably like one big story for this. And this goes back to what was it? I guess technically it'd be 2 years ago now, but my first year at college, obviously this is my first time kind of leaving the house on my own. And I guess you'd technically say I moved out for the first time, but I mean it wasn't really my place. I was at some big institution with a bunch of other people and a roommate. Uh, but being there, I mean, it was always my dream to go there to this college, and being there was awesome. Honestly, it was crazy being there, while being basically having my own place for the first time ever. And I mean, I had a blast. I mean, obviously, I still had to do a bunch of school stuff, but then getting to meet a bunch of new people, that getting a whole new environment, it was it was a lot of fun. But where this starts is, I guess, well, it started when I think around my birthday I had gotten a into a relationship, and it had lasted a decent amount of time, I'd say, until winter break comes around and December or January rolls around, and then there's a bit of a dispute, and then it, it just agreed to end it. And at that point, I was like devastated because I mean, obviously, anytime you go through a breakup, it's pretty bad, and even if it was on mutual terms, I still felt like awful because then I was basically right back to square one, and I was like, all right, back to square one. Sure, I've been through this before. Surely I'll be fine. I was not fine. I was not fine whatsoever, because then I think a little bit after that, I had these two things happened on the same day, which made it even worse. So I got back from I was walking back from one of my classes. I think it was like in the morning, and I come back to see one of my roommates like friends like in the room like grabbing stuff, and I was like, what's going on? Why is this side of the room empty? What did I miss? I'm asking these questions. I'm not getting like a single response. And I was like, okay, this is really, really weird. So then my actual roommate comes into the room, and I look at him and be like, he also doesn't say a word. He just grabs a bunch of stuff, and then they just both walk out without a word at all. So I'm just like, cool, cool. It's just no. To this day, I never, ever got any sort of like word or confirmation of why that happened, and I will never forget that because it'll bother me forever because he just basically left without a single word. Like I didn't even get like a heads up or anything. Like cool. And then later on after that, I was talking on Discord with some of my older friends. I mean like older friends in the sense that we'd known each other for a while, not like being older than me. And I mean, it was fine. We were just like throwing like jokes back and forth, and then I guess it got to a point where they didn't like what I was saying, and then they just permanently booted me out like forever. And it was like they don't really want to be associated with you anymore. And I was like, ah, cool. So in that span, it was like the span of like a week. I basically lost all sort of like relations with those sort of people, and all I had was I guess the friends that I had made there, and to say I felt awful was like an understatement. It was that was like I don't even know. I can't even describe how bad I felt at the time. It was so bad. Like I laugh now, but like I was miserable for like the rest of the year. It was awful. Now for the eye, this one is a lot more complicated to say because I've always held the belief that isolation and loneliness are definitely two different things. And while you can definitely feel both at the same time, they're definitely not like the exact same feeling. It's like I've always seen isolation as like like you feel like soloed out when you're like in a big crowd. Like it's like that feeling when you're at a party, but you don't you're like okay, hold on. It's like you're at a party but you don't know anyone. Or like you're in a class and you don't like there's no friends in your class. It's just you and you. It's just like you, the teacher. That's probably the best way to describe that. And I think the story that I have for this one is there was a period. There was like a week. It was like a week period where I was like suspended in high school, and I was. I mean, I wouldn't obviously say lonely because I was just stuck at home, but I definitely felt like mad isolated. Even though I mean, I always usually have my online friends, but like even then, they weren't like super duper cool with me at the time. So it's like I was basically just me, and that's it. And this one, I would probably say this one is like the most humbling feeling to have. Oddly enough, even though it's so bad, because you kind of just get left with your own thoughts. You're like, yeah, you're left with your own thoughts for like however long it is, and it's it does make you just like sit back and look at yourself and think like, is this really who I am? Like, is this stuff really like this what we're doing? Like that that is one of like I think I've probably felt this one like the most, and this one definitely relates back to even being at college. Like when I wasn't with like my friends, it was like I just felt you're just like existing, but you're not really like there. You know what I mean? It's it's a really weird feeling. It's a weird one to like describe and explain to other people, and because then a lot of times I'll just say, "Oh, if you're feeling lonely, like X Y Z," but it's like I said, they're not the same. They're not the same thing. and like hopefully that like makes sense to you guys because I don't think it's. I've never thought that they were the same thing because I feel like it's much harder to get like truly isolated than it is to like be alone because you're never like truly alone because you're always gonna have your family and those if you're lucky. I mean, I guess yeah, if you're lucky you'll have those friends that are always gonna stick by your side, but like not everyone has that luxury. So these two are like not even like 1A 1B. I guess is more like A and B, but like they're both just like horrible and they're not good feelings at all. It's like I don't even know how to like describe how bad it is. It's just it's also very hard to like talk about because not like it's very I think this one where like you very you have to be like really like empathetic to kind of like understand this one because like someone like if you feel like lonely or I guess you feel like lonely or isolated, this I mean friends can always help you like make new friends, like reaching out and like yo I'm here for you. And those that's always a good thing to do, but it's like things like this it's very hard to try and like talk out with someone because like it's just a unique sort of experience between people. So this one is complicated, but no, I don't think it's anywhere near as complicated as the last one. Speaking of the last one and the D pause, okay, that sounds crazy, but the last part of the lid is definitely the most complicated one, and that's disassociation. And this one, honestly, is usually a combination of the other two, but this one can honestly just happen on its own. And when it does happen on its own, this one might actually be the worst one because you just like you just feel out of it. Like you don't feel like you're even like there. You're kind of like I guess the best way to describe this one is like you just kind of like go on autopilot for X amount of time. Like it can definitely be in like short bursts of like maybe like a day or two, or it can last like weeks or months. And like it's the worst to get this whenever you're like let's say you're talking to like a bunch of friends, right? And they're talking about something that you might not be too well versed on or not know too much about. So you're kind of just like there listening, but there's not much like actual input you can add. And like if you feel like you cut in because they obviously know more than you kind of like cut in, but it'd just be like sort of like reactions, like you laugh or like you say, "Wow, that's crazy," but like you don't actually get like the full thing of what they're trying to talk about, and it sucks. Like this is definitely I mean, this happened like relatively like this happens like all the time lately because like if you guys are into Marvel Rivals, like I think most of the friends in my server that I usually talk to that are active, they play the game, and then they're like the stream I had the other night, they were like they went on like tangents about it because they released like a buff debuff list, and I'm just like, yeah, this is cool. I didn't really say much during it because I just let them talk because they obviously know a lot more about it than me. But like, I you just you're just there. You just kind of have to be a spectator whenever stuff like that goes on, and it sucks. Honestly, it's not really fun because you feel like you're not involved, and not being able to be involved sucks because I want to be there, actively talking to my friends. But if I can't like really join in on the conversation, there's not. there's not much I can really do. I mean, like like Rivals looks cool. Like it looks cool, but I don't think it's like my type of game at all. Like I don't see myself getting into it. So it's like I've kind of like I guess I guess you could say permanently, but like I permanently like blocked myself off from being able to be a part of any of those situations because I mean I don't play the game, and like it's even worse whenever like everyone else in the VC is like on the game and you're like playing a completely different game, because it's usually like they'll like group up to play a game and I'll still be on like Fortnite, or I'll be playing like Shin Megami Tensei 5, and I mean I can just like all I can really do is just focus on the game that I'm playing, and I can just laugh at their reactions, but like it doesn't feel like right, you know what I mean? It just like again, it feels like I'm just like spectating my friends, and I can't do anything about it. And I don't really enjoy that at all. I mean, like I know what you're saying, like, oh, you just get the game and play with them. And like, yeah, you're right, but it's like I don't. It's just not my type of game. You know what I mean? I wouldn't really want to try to force myself to get into it just because I don't want to like I just don't want to I don't want to feel FOMO, but at the same time it's like even though I don't want to be feeling like severe FOMO, I don't want to also like force myself to do something just because my friends are doing it. I just think that's a not fan behavior, but like kind of just like following the pack, because it's just not my thing. But even though it's not my thing, it kind of is a double-sided sword, because even though it's not my thing, now I just have to deal with the FOMO, and I mean I guess I'm fine with it, but at the same time it's kind of like this like burning feeling, like dang, I'm just kind of here while they're all doing one thing. It sucks. It really does suck. I'm not gonna lie. Those are my thoughts on all three of them, though. That's gonna wrap it up. I do kind of apologize for a bit of the more like somber video. I don't know. This stuff is kind of it is touchy to talk about, but I think it deserves to be talked about, and it's helpful to talk about it, because keeping it bottled up is just not gonna help anyone. But uh, I'm kind of fumbling here, but hopefully you did enjoy the video. Um, I want to say I gotta throw in the casual like and subscribe. Make sure to share the video, and also make sure you're checking out the streams, because usually after I upload a video, I usually am streaming a little bit later that day. So make sure you're also joining the streams. It's in my bio, or in the description. Uh, that's me signing off though. You guys have a great day.